Hello, I'm Tresden, and I just wanted to make a little video of my Minecraft world, just for funsies. I know this is a little divergent from my usual content, but, go fuck yourself. Uh, so, this is my Five Nights at Freddy's world. These statues are made by a channel called Redx. I think it's Redx Plays. I will link them in the description, their channel. However, I do make some tweaks to them, and I try my best to make them more accurate, and I give them, you'll see in a second, alternate skins to represent some different appearances they take on throughout the nights. So, let's start here with, over here, just left from right. This is the pumpkin that appears in the Halloween, if you play Five Nights at Freddy's 1 on Halloween. Here is Foxy. And then I have an alt for Foxy, of course, with his eye patch up, like he appears during his jump scare. So, next up is Bonnie. I'm probably gonna do a few cuts between, just so I can, save some time. So don't be surprised if we start jumping around. This is his dot eyes appearance from Parts and Service. You saw Freddy just a moment ago. Here is Freddy with his dot eyes appearance from when he appears in the cam corner. And here is the stuffed Freddy suit, or Corpse Freddy, from the Game Over screen. Down here, I have note blocks playing Toreador March, which is the theme that plays during the power outage sequence. Here is Chica and Mr. Cupcake. Here is Golden Freddy. And here is Indo01, as well as Indo01 with the dot eyes from his appearance in Parts and Service. And I want to show really quick that the animatronics have light blocks in their eyes in order to give them, I was going to get a light block, but I changed my mind because I thought I had it ready to go, but I do not. But they have light blocks in order to light up their eyes. It just makes them feel a little more, like robots with lit up eyes and stuff. I don't know. I just think it's cute. So I went ahead and added it. Over here, I have built the location for each of the games. This is Five Nights at Freddy's 1, as soon as it finishes loading. This is based off of the movie, the exterior, and the interior is a combination of Into the Pit, Help Wanted, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, of course, and the movies. These booths are inspired by the movies. The layout I got from a video. It was Five Nights at Freddy's Anniversary, or a Five Nights at Freddy's remake by The Unwithered Truth. I really like that video, so I used that layout that he showed, and he got that layout originally from a Reddit user, and then he tweaked it, and I used his tweak design, so I will do my best to get both of those people in the description, because I don't want to take credit for anything that isn't mine. You will see that there are daylight sensors in order to turn the lights on. back here is the parts and service room, and the safe room. I do have plans to make the knights functional, and they will be playable. If you've seen the videos by CuppaTeeXE, he makes functional Five Nights at Freddy's maps, and that really inspired me to try and do the same thing. So I do have plans to make it functional. This is on Bedrock Edition, if you weren't able to tell. Here is one of the party rooms. I will also be sure to put a link to CuppaTee in the description. Here is the other bathroom, even though it's mirrored. In case you're really curious what the mirrored bathroom looks like, here's the ball pit. Here is the manager's office. I built this designed off of Steve Raglan's office from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which of course is William Afton. Just for funsies. Here is the kitchen, and you'll notice that there's no way in through the door. But, fortunately, we do have a vent system that will let us get into the kitchen. I'm lagging a little bit because it's auto-saving, so excuse that. This kitchen layout is mostly inspired by a Five Nights at Freddy's board game. I do not remember the one, but if I do recall it, I will put it up on screen. But this was inspired by a Five Nights at Freddy's board game that showed the FNaF 1's kitchen layout. And then this section here is the Chica repair minigame from Help Wanted. And then this oven is from Into the Pit. This design, I believe, was by CuppaTee. And then this is the board in the kitchen from Into the Pit. But, oh, here's the prize corner from Help Wanted. But yeah. So that's the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 location. Oh, I almost forgot the office. That's like the most important part. I'm gonna go ahead and set it to night for the sake of demonstration. The doors are functional as soon as it stops lagging. There we go. And the lights are functional. So, yeah. Same with this one. If you couldn't tell. Yeah. So that's the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 location. Here's Bonnie's closet, because he likes to be in the closet. My gay king. Yeah. So there's FNaF 1. Next up, I'm going to go over to FNaF 2. I need to set this back to the default really quick. Okay, so I'm going from left to right again. Here is Mangle. They have a pretty big collection of alts. This is Mangle's appearance in Kids Cove. You will see that their eyes are different. And then here is their appearance when they're in the hallway with Foxy. When they're in the hallway with Foxy, they take on a more red appearance on their pink parts. So I replicated that using red terracotta in place of the pink concrete. Here is their appearance in Cam 10. Their left eye is obscured, and their right eye has no dot in it. And finally, here is my interpretation of a repaired Mangle, just for funsies. There's a dog barking outside, that's a little annoying, sorry about that. Here is Toy Bonnie. And here is Toy Bonnie when they are in the office. It says jump scare, and I guess this does also appear during their jump scare. However, this also just appears when you put on the mask in the office. I can't tell if that's picking up the dog or not. I really hope it's not, because those dogs bark all the time. Anyway, here is Toy Freddy. And here is Toy Freddy's appearance when he enters your office. His eyes become dark and obscured. Here is Toy Chica, and of course Toy Cupcake. Toy Mr. Cupcake, I guess. But then there is Toy Chica's appearance when she leaves the stage. Moving on next to the Wizards. Going from right to left, here is Withered Golden Freddy. Here is his appearance in the hallway. He just becomes that floating head. Here is Toy Chica, Withered Chica, I'm sorry. Here is Withered Freddy. And that's missing something that should be there. So give me 1 second here. Okay, I fixed it. I'm gonna save over that. Here is Withered Freddy's appearance when he is in the office. His eyes look a lot more lifeless compared to the previous. And then here is the fandom interpretation of Withered Freddy. This is based off of his appearance in... The fandom got this appearance from his appearance in the camera in the party room. And I didn't say it, but here's Withered Bonnie. Those eyes are on the... His eyes turn white, but on the vent camera and the title screen, his eyes are white instead of the red it normally is. So there's Withered Foxy. Here is Withered Foxy during his jump scare, where his eye patch is up. And here is Withered Foxy when he is in the hallway. Again, his eyes are shining a lot more. So over here, going from right to left, we have the Paper Pals. Then we have RWQ, FSFA, ASXC or something. Shadow Bonnie. We have Shadow Bonnie. Here's Shadow Freddy. Here's Endo02, and he has an alt with his eyelids down. Similar to his appearance in the prize corner. Here is the Marionette. Here is the Marionette while they are rising out of their box. Here is the Marionette during their jump scare. You will notice the Marionette controller is gone. They are floating, and they have the white pupils. And then here is an alt with the box closed, just for funsies. You will also notice that there is again a note block. Where is it? Here it is. A note block cover of the Puppets music box playing. That was done by a friend of mine, as well as this Marionette, which was built by a friend of mine using Redx's tutorial. Here is JJ. She is actually missing the top of her propeller hat while she's under the desk, so I did not add the propeller hat, as she does not have it. Here is Balloon Boy. And then, let us show you the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 location. So again, this exterior is based off of the FNaF 2 movie. What we've seen from the trailers, because as of when I'm making this, it is not out yet. I'm really excited for it, especially because John FNaF just released a video talking about he got to see it early, and he had a lot of good things to say, so I'm really excited for it to come out. This is a reinterpretation of FNaF 2, because Scott has a tendency to make layouts that don't make any functional sense. So, we always got to do a little bit of legwork when trying to make it make a little more sense. Yeah. When the movie comes out, I'm definitely gonna probably go back and add a few more details that I really liked from the movie and fuse those into the design. Oh, I almost forgot the kitchen. Over here is the kitchen. This was not based off of anything in particular. Again, those ovens are based off Into the Pit, though. But these prices are accurate to what they would be in 1987, because we get a little autistic sometimes. Yeah, there's the kitchen design. Some people stand on the pressure plates and it folded the slabs back down when they're supposed to be up. Over here, we have the bathrooms. And I am once again going to show you the opposite side, even though it is just mirrored. So, here is the parts and service room. You will notice that normally there is a door in here into this room, but there is not one, because I think it's really funny to just fully embrace the no doors aspect of FNaF 2. And I think it gives a little more credibility to the fact that the current consensus is that Withered Foxy did the bite of 87. We've been getting a lot of evidence that it was Withered Foxy, and he followed, I believe, Jeremy Fitzgerald home and bit him. And, if the doors closed, it'd be a little harder to be able for Withered Foxy to get out. Yeah, so here is Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I forgot to show you this on FNaF 1, but there is a poster with a button to click that plays the Freddy honk noise. Yeah, so that's FNaF 2. Moving on to FNaF 3, I will meet you over there. Alright, so going from left to right, in FNaF 3, we're starting with the crumpled Freddy suit. In the files, they are actually labeled Shadow Freddy. However, I remember when the game came out, some people interpreted them as Phantom Golden Freddy. However, the Freddy files more recently has called them the Crumpled Freddy suit. So I'm going to go with that name. Here is Balloon Boy during their jump scare. You will notice their jaw unhinges. Here is the Phantom Puppet, of course. And here is the Phantom Puppet's appearance on Cam 08. They look like the regular marionette on Cam 08, which some people interpreted them as being the... this is Shadow Cupcake, by the way. As being the actual marionette. However, in the same room, there is a marionette mask on the wall, even when the marionette is supposedly there. So, I don't know. It's a little strange. And with new evidence, it suggests that, the marionette was not decommissioned in FNaF 3, and instead was just kind of floating around somewhere, which is why Lefty had to be made. Here is Phantom Chica, and they have an alt for their appearance in the arcade. This design was not made by me. I want to mention that. Again, it was done by Redx. And I may be saying a lot, but I don't want to take credit for something that was not mine. Here is the box from FNaF 3. I mostly made it because it holds one of the paper pals. And, you know, paper pals are in one of them, might as well be in the other. This design of Springtrap was originally done by Redx, but I made a lot of tweaks to it to be more accurate to the FNaF 3 model specifically. And I believe I had to remove Phantom Freddy's leg. I don't think that was originally missing from the design. Because he is actually, I almost said believe it or not. Believe it or not, he is actually missing his left leg. Or I'm sorry, I guess his right leg in his FNaF 3 appearance. And they give it back to him in FNaF World, and they take it away again in Ultimate Custom Night. Which is very strange. Here is Fazbear Fright. And this one is not a regular location, it takes place in a theme park. And it's a replication of a Freddy's location to be a horror attraction, so I try to mimic the line out there. I'm sorry, I'm paused on Phantom Puppet while I'm saying this. Here is the camera, where your camera would be here, or actually a setback a little bit, but this is the best I can do. And this is the spot where you would see the marionette normally. However, I just put the Phantom Puppets design here because, you know, it'd be a little weird. And then this is where the marionette mask would be. Maybe it would be here. I don't know. I might tweak that. Here is Phantom Chica. And did you know that you can actually climb vines through paintings? I did, which is why you can enter the night there. Now you are seeing slight spoilers for what's ahead, but that's okay. That's a-okay. Here is Phantom Balloon Boy. There is a little corridor here, so I interpreted that as being a little small passageway for scare actors to, you know, make their way through. Here is this corridor, along with the body displayed, and that is the Foxy that is displayed. There is Phantom Mangle. Technically, they are supposed to be upside down, however, I can't name them Phantom Mangle and have them upside down at the same time, so there's Phantom Freddy. These vents are accurate to the layout shown on the cameras. However, they look about the same when you're going through them, so I'm not gonna show the vents. Here is the cam panel and the maintenance panel. Yeah. That is FNaF 3. You may have noticed the Steve heads back there. Those are just placeholders until I get like player heads of who I'd want. Like, for example, I'd want a Toy Bonnie head, a Toy Freddy head, a Mangle head, and a like decommissioned Balloon Boy head to go in there because, you know, they're in the box. Here is starting on FNaF 4. Here is Nightmare. And he has an alt where he has different buttons. He has black buttons in-game. However, in the extra menu, it is shown that he has differently colored buttons. This is the same to Fredbear, and I will demonstrate that when I get over there as well. Here is an alt where he is transparent. And here is an alt where he is transparent, but he has his hallway buttons. Moving on next to Nightmare Foxy. He has an alt where he has his freaky ass tongue from the teaser. So, there's Nightmare Bonnie, Nightmare Freddy. Unfortunately, the Freddles don't really fit well onto the Nightmare Freddy model, so, you know, Redx released a separate tutorial just for the Freddles. Here is Nightmare Fredbear's head. I gave the Freddles alts of all the different appearances of things that, or sorry, all the different things that can appear on the bed, just because I wanted to give them some love. Yeah, there was Nightmare, Nightmare Transparent, and Nightmarion from the torso up. Here is Nightmare Chica, along with Nightmare Mr. Cupcake. There is Nightmare Fredbear. Nightmare Fredbear with his appearance in the hallway where both buttons are black. And Nightmare Fredbear from the teaser image, where Scott was still hiding his color scheme to not let us know that there was a Nightmare Golden Freddy. Here is Plush Trap. And I just built a little chair for him because, you know, I thought it was cute. Give him a little more love. Here is Nightmare Balloon Boy. Jacko Chica and the Jack-o'-lantern. Does this count as a Mr. Cupcake variant, by the way? I personally think it is one, but I don't know. Here's Jacko Bonnie. Here is Nightmare Mangle. And here is Nightmarion. And then moving on next to the FNaF 4 map, I'm going to reset these guys back to their default poses, and I will meet you over there. Okay, so something you may notice with the FNaF 4 map is those are going to be full trees later. It's just a little tiring doing the same exact tree design over and over. But something you may notice with the FNaF 4 map is this is a combination of all the different times we've seen the Afton household and the pathway to the Afton household. So I fused all of those into one. See Juniors over here. There's the Freddy Files, I believe, calls it a grave, so I'm gonna go with grave. There's the unmarked grave. Yeah, there's Juniors. Over here, we have Fredbear's Family Diner. The novels do mention that there is a train track running nearby, as well as a picnic table out behind it. So I've been thinking about adding that. Here is a kitchen, uninspired by anything. Although they do have mentions of it in the novel trilogy, so I may go back and do a little tweaking. This, of course, is based off of the FNaF 4 Between Night minigames. Here is the safe room. This is where the night select is going to be. I just haven't had a chance to put it in place yet. Out over here, we have another tunnel to exit, and a replication of the Emily household from the novel trilogy. This is currently unfinished, however, little glance around wouldn't hurt. So, here is the garage. There is the Foxy Endo in the corner that killed Henry, and this is the bathroom, by the way, if you cannot tell, that killed Henry Emily. Here is Charlie Emily's room, and fun little fact, that wall is yellow when she enters the room. There's Stanley's track and Ella's track, by the way. That wall is yellow when she enters the room, however when she exits the room, it is pink. So that's a fun little design inconsistency that can ruin your readings of the graphic novel. I was referring to the graphic novel there. I should have prefaced that. Whatever. Here is the playground from FNaF 4. Little picnic table set up over there in a picnic blanket. Some ants. Just a cute little detail. Here is the balloon from the balloon child standing there. No child to be seen. Here is the Afton household. There's a collection of doors in the garage, and you may see why in just a moment. Yeah, but I'm gonna do a quick little exterior. Here is where the crying child broke out and fled. Ignore the fact that the tracks lead from this window. Thanks. Yeah. Off into the forest there. And I believe this actually goes to, yeah, this is another exit. It's a little closer. However, now I have to fly all the way back over there, so I guess I'll meet you over there. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. You'll notice that some of those windows are blacked out. That is because this is also the house on the hill from the FNaF 4. The FNaF 4 house on the hill. The one where all the animatronics are like hiding in the bushes looking at it. Here is the Afton household. All these light switches are functional. Even though there's no redstone behind them. How queer. How did that happen? Command blocks, obviously. So, this is a fusion of everything we've seen of the Afton household. Of course, the FNaF 4 layout. This is the sister location TV stand. Here is the orange couch from the Midnight Motorist. Here is the Midnight Motorist. The Midnight Motorist minigame. Here is the blue couch from the FNaF 4 in between night minigames. Here is a kitchen. Here is a master bedroom. The one that's shared between Afton, William Afton and Mrs. Afton, who is mysteriously nowhere to be seen ever. There's supposed to be a painting on that wall. Yeah, that was Elizabeth's room. Here is Mike's room. Yeah, you'll see that there's doors missing, so these are all the doors that are missing from the household. There is a towel for each of the kids here. This is the sister location bathroom, where you see Innard inside of Mike. There's Plush Trap, here's Nightmare Balloon Boy. This should have one in, by the way, but whatever. Here are the endos that are made by William. Oh, that's for the keyboard. I was like, what is that endoskeleton that armor stand doing down there? This is not based off of anything in particular, but we just needed one more room, so, you know, little office for William. Coming over this way, we have the FNaF 4 bedroom. Turn the lights off. There's the closet. Yeah. So, that is Five Nights at Freddy's 4. I think that's it. So I will meet you over at the next section. Okay, so going over to the next section, we have the fun times. So going from left to right, we are starting with the wonderful Lolbit. And although this is not shown in game, I do have an alt for their full body. Yeah. So there is that. Here is Funtime Freddy and Bon Bon. Here is Funtime Freddy's early design as shown in the extra menu. Here is Funtime Freddy with Bonnet. This does not appear in game, however, I wanted an excuse for Bon Bon to be down there by himself. So, you know. Here is him with his faceplate open. Yeah. Here is the mini Rena. And I do have alts for each of their different stances, as shown in the extra menu. This is their default eye appearance, where I do have an alt with their glowing eyes. Yeah. So that is the mini Renas. Here is Ballora, as well as her alt with her faceplates open. Moving on next to... What? Sorry about that. Moving on next to Bidybab. They, of course, have an alt for Electrobab. And then they have... This is their alt with their faceplate closed. And here is one with their faceplate open. Yeah. Here is Circus Baby. Circus Baby has an alt with her blue eyes. And she has an alt with her face closed, as you saw, and her faceplate's open. She also has a early design shown in the extra menu where she has brown hair instead. So, of course I had to give her that as an option. Here is Funtime Foxy. Funtime Foxy has an alt where their face is open, just like all the other sister location animatronics. And they have an extra menu early design. Moving on next to Ennard. This is their default appearance. Or, no, this is their faceplate open appearance, I'm sorry. You will see that they're missing the eyebrow that they're missing when their faceplate is open. However, they have an eyebrow reappear during their jump scare where their faceplate is closed. Ennard is the only animatronic who jump scares with their faceplate closed instead of open. Here's Ennard maskless, which is very strange. Here is Yendo. And here is Dark Springtrap, which is the Springtrap shown in the sister location custom night for beating the max mode. This is my own interpretation of Dark Springtrap. I fused all the different elements from the other designs, and I gave him the bone arm from Scraptrap. Here is Funko's design of Dark Springtrap. And then here is the design that was shown to us in the Freddy files. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you the sister location. That's strange. That's Circus Baby's Pizza World. I thought we were going to the bunker. Well, the bunker's in the back. Unfortunately, this area is closed due to gas leaks, of course. This is based off of the design from the novel trilogy. But if we come around the back, we will see that back here is an entrance we can go through. Employees report to the elevator on the left. I guess we should do that. If we go through the elevator here, you will see we are in the sister location bunker. It's not really a bunker, it's like a warehouse storage facility, but you know. Here is Funtime Freddy's room. I need to fix the lights up here as they keep breaking. However, they should be flickering like this. Yeah, all of those lights should be flickering. But no. We'll fix it at a later date. Yeah. So there is Funtime Freddy's little room. And on those cameras, it is shown that there are the testing facilities with the hallucinogenic gas and illusion discs done on some of the kids that the Funtimes capture. So I was sure to add those to my map. Here is the circus control room. This is gonna, you press the button when you're playing the night, and it will bring you to a minigame you can play to do the under the desk section. There's Funtime Foxy and Yendo. Again, it's 1N. I need to go back and change that. Here is the scooping room. Over here we have the what is this? What is this called? This is the parts and service room. I always forget. This is the only room that's like really labeled, by the way. In game. I don't know what that's about. This is how you enter the opposite side of the scooping room, as it is shown on the maps that's how you enter the opposite side of the scooping room. Over here we have the custom night. Man, people love to just be really annoying on my road. I'm sorry about that. Custom night. These doors are not currently functional, however, I do plan on making them functional. Yeah. So here's the custom night area. It's pretty small, so. However, back here, we have a vent system that will either lead us to the Five Nights at Freddy's 4. You may have noticed that there is no way to re-enter the custom night section if you close both doors on yourself. So, I have plans to make this when I program the doors to set both doors back. That way you can't lock yourself out on accident. But yeah, here's the bedroom. And then if we go the opposite way instead, this will lead us over to the circus control room opposite end, where Circus Baby is. Yeah. However, connected to Circus Baby's room is Fredbear's. And then this is where the night select is. Because, similar to how Scott likes to do things, where he hides things and gives you no hints and just have to trial and error over and over and over again. If you want to play the Knights, you're going to have to go through that. You're going to have to explore the entire map and slam your head into walls. It's just like a real FNaF game. So leaving the Five Nights at Freddy's sister location storage unit, Circus Baby's Entertainment and Rentals, as it is called actually. Back up, we have the Pizza World. This was based off of Circus Baby's Pizza from the novel trilogy. This is Funtime Freddy's Mirror Maze. I'm just gonna, cheat a little bit. Oh no, it's closed off on this end. Whatever will we do? Where do I go? You like my acting? Here is the Circus Baby's room. The Circus Baby's room. And again, Freddy's Mirror Maze, labeled on each of the doorways so you can go through. Just gonna... There's the actual exit. This one's blocked off. And do a little shortcut. Dev only shortcut. Here is the carousel. Here is the controls for that carousel. And over here we have a furnace room. Here's the spring lock suit that you are put in on, I believe, night 4 of sister location. Unlabeled spring lock suit. Oh, here's the arcade. I really wanted to go for a disrepair, so although the Circus Baby's Pizza World, as we were shown in the novels, is in repair, I built that and then I kinda, fudged it up a little bit, so. Over here is the main room. There's a reason why I didn't go through there, it's because I was blocked. Although I guess I could have just flied over now that I'm thinking about it. But whatever. I'll show you the actual way. There's a ball pit that's fenced off. There's a cotton candy stand. Out over here we have a little playground section, broken swings. Here is a kitchen. The fridge leaking. It's just in a general state of disrepair. Over here, this is where the entrance would normally be, but again, you saw earlier it was fenced off. Or not fenced off, it was caution taped off. Yeah. So that is the sister location map. And I'm going to go ahead and go back over here and close off with the little bit that I've built for Pizza Sim. All that has been done for Pizza Sim so far has been Scrap Trap and part of Scrap Baby. And I haven't done any work on the actual location, as there's a slight problem with the fact that it kind of needs to be built ground up for gameplay. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that yet. However, this is what we have so far for Wii. This is what I have so far for Five Nights at Freddy's 6 Pizza Sim. Again, these statues are done by Redx, and I just make tweaks to them to either make them more accurate or give them the alts or what be it. So I will be sure to link to Redx in the description, as well as, I believe I mentioned Cup of Tea and the Unwithered Truth, as well as the Reddit post the Unwithered Truth used. So, yeah. That is my Five Nights at Freddy's world so far. Thank you for watching. Be sure to dislike and send me hate comments, because I get off on that. Thank you.